two colleagues who have spoken before me on this matter, alongside the people of Kenya, to pass our condolences to the people of Turkana following the loss of life on such a significant scale. 22 lives, Mr. Speaker, and yet others that we are yet to know if they are alive or they have since been killed, Mr. Speaker, is not a matter to be taken lightly. This is murder most foul, because if these people had gone to fend for their lives, Mr. Speaker, it's the only way and the only economic activity of Turkana County, Mr. Speaker. We're in Turkana County 2 years ago, and you saw for yourself the hardship that those Kenyans have to endure, Mr. Speaker, while trying to eke out a living. It's not your everyday place. It is what I call the forgotten corners of this country, places that devolution and strategic government interventions only, Mr. Speaker, can bring them actually to be part and parcel of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, those people, by every deed and action, and each time acts such as this happen to them, it reminds them how far away from the center they are removed. And it reminds us all, Mr. Speaker, as we sit in the lofty seats of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, either in the Senate or the National Assembly, as we pass laws, as we do budgets, Mr. Speaker, as we share resources, to always remember, Mr. Speaker, that Kenya is a big country, that we cannot continue to only invest in certain sections of the country on account of only votes, on account of only population, Mr. Speaker. That's why this House previously has stood firm when we discuss the third generation of revenue sharing, Mr. Speaker, because we were intentional. Senate is a house of equity. That is why, Mr. Speaker, the senator for Lamu, who perhaps is voted in by in just one ward in another county, Mr. Speaker, has the same number of votes as the senator for Kiambu and Nairobi, who are voted in by other hundreds of thousands, Mr. Speaker. One vote is one in this house, Mr. Speaker, because we are a house of equity. That is why, Mr. Speaker, many regard us to be the upper house. We may not have the keys to the pass, Mr. Speaker, but at least we have the passcode to making this country great through equalizing development and ensuring that resources are shared equally in all the corners of this county, Mr. Speaker. That in this day and age, Mr. Speaker, it can take this long to get news first out of what happened. And up to now, Mr. Speaker, we continue to struggle to establish where the rest of these other Kenyans are. Tells you how much investment is needed in those border counties and the frontier counties of this nation, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that our citizens are protected. I want to plead, Mr. Speaker, with our colleagues who sit in the National Assembly, those that have the power to budget, that we must carry out modernization of our police service, Mr. Speaker, so as to ensure that our police can quickly respond to these acts. Second, and most importantly, Mr. Speaker, we expect an apology from the government of Ethiopia, Mr. Speaker. We also expect that a better communication from them on who these criminals are, Mr. Speaker, and what led to them invading the territory of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, and committing these heinous crimes, Mr. Speaker. I do hope, Mr. Speaker, that other than that, Mr. Speaker, this will serve as a lesson on the need to keep the corners of this country that are prone to this kind of attacks, where people from other countries, Mr. Speaker, attack us and our citizens end up losing life. I want to plead, Mr. Speaker, that even the rest of the country gives this problem the kind of attention that would have been given if 22 people, God forbid, had been shot here in Nairobi, Mr. Speaker. Because there's an unfortunate trend, Mr. Speaker, where life is only equated or given seriousness if it is here in the capital, Mr. Speaker. You know, the other day when we were discussing about these challenges, about people disappearing, those that live in the frontier counties and counties such as Turkana were wondering what you are talking about, because that is the occurrence they live with on a daily basis. And many of their kins, when they disappear, they never get to see them again, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I want to challenge that let this, Mr. Speaker, not be allowed to be just another occurrence without proper justice being served, Mr. Speaker, to the people of Turkana, and them feeling that indeed their people have not lost their life in vain. May it be the last of such occurrences that happen through serious intervention and investment into that particular region so that our people don't die like flies. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next is Senator Beatrice Ogora.
Honorable Speaker, it's a sad day for this republic, and I want to add my voice to the fact that there's lots of suffering in this county, Turkana. I want to feel with our brother, the Senator of Turkana. But Honorable Speaker, Kenya as a nation is a sovereign country. And in this country, Honorable Speaker, we have all grown, and everybody knows that this is a country where we preach peace, love, and unity, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, what has happened in Turkana is not only a violation of Turkana as a county, but a violation of this country, this peace-loving country that we have in this republic. Honorable Speaker, in this republic, we live with almost every other person that comes from this continent, Honorable Speaker. And at no time do we treat them with unjust, with the kind of criminality we have seen in Turkana. Honorable Speaker, if we can lose over 20 people at the hands of a foreign country, Honorable Speaker, this is a pathetic situation. Honorable Speaker, we have no problem with counties that border this republic. Mahatma Gandhi once said that you hate the sin, but love the sinner. As we love the Ethiopians or whoever they are, the government must come out strongly to indicate and to show and to demonstrate that we hate the sin and it cannot be encouraged, Honorable Speaker. The last time we were in Turkana over Senate Mashinani, we all saw the suffering that the people of Turkana undergo. And it cannot be fair that on top of the suffering, on top of the environment that is there, then they lose their lives at the hand of foreigners. Honorable Speaker, just last year, we saw on June 25th, when Parliament was invaded, the next day we saw that the army were all over this city taking care of everybody else. I expected that is what we should be seeing in Turkana. And Honorable Speaker, as I support this motion, as I feel with our brothers and sisters in Turkana, I hope this will never happen again, not only in Turkana, but to any other Kenyan in this republic. And I want to call none other than the President, His Excellency, the President, William Ruto, to take charge and to ensure that the Turkanans are supported, are protected, but most of all, Honorable Speaker, we are Africans that believe that even when we lose one, we must be able to get the body and be at peace with the laws that we have. We must support Turkana, and the government must ensure that the 22 that have been killed, whether they are thrown elsewhere, the government must go ahead and retrieve these bodies so that their loved ones are at peace with themselves. Honorable Speaker, I condemn this kind of criminality, and I want to say that the sovereignty of this country that preaches peace, love, and unity to our countrymen and beyond is protected. Honorable Speaker, I stand with our brother, Senator Lomelen.
Senator Baz Sheikh Mohammed.
I want to join also Senator Nominel and the rest of the members who talked. And I want to condole and send my condolences to the families that lost their loved ones. Honorable Speaker, as you're aware, this country has the longest border lines with the most or Africans, I mean the neighborhoods, especially who are unstable in Southern Sudan, Sudan, Ethiopia, Somalia. And these countries, most of them are unstable, and there's no proper law and order because, as you're aware, there's so many criminals roaming around with sophisticated weapons. And as a result, Kenya borders have remained porous and unmanned for many years. We are seeing many officers. Actually, we have very few officers in the field. Kenyan borders are not manned by Kenyan men and women of the armed forces and the police officers. They are manned by the locals. And therefore, it is a high time, I think, that the locals also be armed, for especially those areas, so they can be able to protect themselves. Instead of, telling them that they are having illegal guns and all these things. I think it's a high time these people should be licensed so they can be able to fight and rebel back the fighter, the people who invaded them. Because many lives have been lost in Turkana, even in Mandera, in Wajir, everywhere. The people are roaming with guns, coming from borderlines, raiding their animals, and therefore we remain unprotected. And as a result, I will request that we must come up with a policy and a law that will be able to take care and arm people of the borderlines so they can be able to protect themselves. One other thing, honorable speakers, we need to establish more border posts. Kenyans, actually, we have so many trained officers. We have the GSU, we have the RDU, we have the SOCTEF units, which are well trained. But unfortunately, the most unfortunate thing is those officers, most of them are now guided as VIPs. The VIPs have actually taken half of the police officers in this country, right from the presidency to the MCS. There's so many. Half of the Kenyan police are actually under VIP. They have been guiding the police officers. I mean, the VIPs. It is the high time that we must come up with a policy to reduce the number of police officers who are guided the VIPs. The VIPs can even use other security officers, like the security. What do you call this, KKs and all these things. Then having police officers that you have used so much money to train them, and then the kids are dying by the day by being killed by criminals. So I think there should be now a law that reduce the number of VIPs, police officers guiding the one other thing, guiding the VIPs. One other thing, honorable speakers, our officers are poorly armed. They cannot match those criminals. Those guys have sophisticated guns, they have ammunition, they have money, they're selling even drugs to take care of themselves. Officers are not paid their allowances, they live in those places, they are not even getting their salary in time, they have no ammunition, they have nothing. It is a high time that we must also change our policy, that we'll be able to protect ourselves. So these people should be taken care of, they should be paid their allowances, they should pay their salary in time. And they should not be kept because they're demotivated and they stay in the very harsh areas for a long time. So that there must be a specific time to keep those officers in those places so they can be able to rotate in time. So that at least everybody will be motivated to stay at a certain place at a certain time with a certain kind of allowances. Honorable Speaker, I think it's also infrastructure. Those are not possible. The roads are in very poor condition. Even if today you send a vehicle to rescue those guys, they cannot make it to that place. I was seeing, the other day when the president was saying that he's building 720 kilometers road to Mandera. Some Kenyans were making jokes. Oh, as if Kenya, Wajir and Mandera is not part of Kenya. And actually, it is the same thing for Turkana. So I think it's a high time that we must accept that those areas need to be developed. Kenyans cannot be rescued, especially in Turkana, in Mandera and Wajir, because of the road conditions. I think this is a high time that we must give enough budget for those roads to be developed so that we can be able to save Kenyans because we're losing so many lives. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Onyonka Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand here to also condole with my friend and colleague, Senator Lomenen, because he is dealing with a very intricate matter that sometimes is quite surprising to many of us. Mr. Speaker, I grew up in this country of ours that we love, listening to how many times cattle rustlers were running all over the place, killing people. are the far-flung areas of Kenya, and I thought those were people who were very far, and I didn't even have to be concerned about what their lives have become. Mr. Speaker, as a member who's very proud to be in the opposition, once again, I am going to start asking the sitting government to explain to us why our people are being killed within our borders. I am going to be requesting that this House must begin to interrogate and analyze what our responsibility is. Like I've heard Honorable Ali Abbas has spoken very ably. Why don't we start thinking about the legislation that we need to make sure that we are now beginning to pass laws and change some of the laws that we have, so that if we have to create border point police posts and police stations, then so be it. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Bass has also talked about border posts. The other day, as a member of this Senate, we traveled to Mandera. I was shocked that Mandera is actually not a one-stop shop border post between Kenya and Ethiopia. Even though you will hear that business is taking place, people are crossing over the border, and life has gone on normally. I would wish that the government will take Turkana seriously, look at all the challenges that the county is facing. It is very sad to lose 20, and on some figures we're being told the people who died could be 40. And to make matters worse, Mr. Speaker, these were individuals who are being killed and thrown into Lake Turkana. It's inhuman, it's unfair, but I think we also need to be more responsible. We also need to make sure as a country, and I agree with what Honorable Chirarge said, where you find that the Minister for Interior is saying that this is a very small incident, which has not, it's not. The death of one person, like the brother we lost in Haiti, is one too many. So, Mr. Speaker, we don't want anybody to trivialize cattle rustling, interborder, cross-border wars. And the truth is, Mr. Speaker, we have the evidence. We have the people who know. I mean, I could use the Karamoja issue, the frequent war that was taking place between the Karamoja and the Karamoja in Uganda and the Turkanas in Kenya. And Museveni, I think for the first time, he made a wonderful decision of picking his wife, even when I disagree about us employing our relatives. And Mrs. Museveni actually solved the problem between the Karamoja, Uganda, and the Turkana of Kenya. So why don't we get, maybe I wanted to say, Honorable MNN, that our president could also pick Madam Rachel and even make her the Minister for Interior, if that is what it means that we solve this problem. So that, because as a mother, she may understand, and I think the people might believe her more if she came in as a peace ambassador to make sure that this cattle rustling and killing of Kenyans by outsiders and our borders are open is something that we must stop as soon as possible. With these remarks, I really hope that the government will move as fast and as quickly, and the government can interrogate this matter. The government should even think right now. It can come to this house and ask us to give it permission to allow the Kenya Defense Forces to actually go to those areas and try and make sure that we maintain peace on a permanent basis. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Sifuna Edwin.
Honorable Speaker, I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the people of Nairobi as well to convey our heartfelt condolences and commiserations with the people of Turkana through their Senator, Honorable Lomenen, who has caused this adjournment motion for us to discuss the situation in Turkana. Honorable Speaker, as you know, I am a very proud Secretary General of the Orange Democratic Movement, a party that has very strong presence in Turkana. Honorable Speaker, in Turkana North, we are represented in the National Assembly by Honorable Ekwom Nabuin, who was elected on an ODM ticket, and his Turkana South counterpart, Honorable Ariko Namoit, who represents Turkana South, yes. Honorable Speaker, these two members of parliament have taken the liberty to brief the party on the situation in Turkana as they see it. In fact, Honorable Speaker, I want to go through some of the things, the reports that we have gotten from our two members of parliament. And this brief is something that I will be presenting before a meeting of the organ of the party that is scheduled tomorrow, Honorable Speaker. Number one, Honorable Speaker, it is clear that this attack was carried out by Ethiopian militia who are operating on the northernmost tip of Turkana County, Honorable Speaker. And that according to these two members of parliament, there are actually more than 30 fishermen who are feared dead and who are missing and feared massacred inside the lake during that attack, Honorable Speaker. They also confirmed to us at the party that they are yet to retrieve the bodies because the Ethiopian side is not cooperating and unwilling to engage with them. Honorable Speaker, according to these two members of parliament, the Foreign Office in Kenya is failing the people of Turkana because there has been no involvement at all in terms of support by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And this is something that is very troubling because according to them, at least the CS for Interior is present there. The Honorable Murkomen is there. And the CS for Asal areas, the Honorable Beatrice School, has been with them together with the county commissioner. But that there has been no presence whatsoever of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And this is a problem because especially because they have said that they would require cooperation of the Ethiopian government and the Ethiopian authorities for them to conduct search and rescue operations to retrieve these bodies and find the people who are missing. Honorable Speaker, our members of parliament have also told us that on the night of the attack, and maybe the senator for Turkana can confirm, there was no network coverage. That somehow the network by Safaricom experienced an outage on the night of the attack, making it impossible for them to save lives. Honorable Speaker, the argument by these two members of parliament is that if they were able to communicate the attack early, that many lives would have been saved. And this is something that Senator Lomenen can also confirm. They are there currently, Honorable Speaker, the two members of parliament and also the senator, trying to calm our people down because there is growing frustration on the ground, Honorable Speaker, and some people are calling for retaliatory attacks. And if these leaders are not present to calm the temperatures down, it is going to be very difficult, Honorable Speaker. We want government to move with speed, especially the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to secure the necessary cooperation from the Ethiopian authorities for us to be able to get our brethren who are missing in the lake. Honorable Speaker, lastly, the report, and which is something that the senator can also confirm, was that the National Police Reservist officers who are stationed there in Turkana had no ammunition. I mean, Honorable Speaker, you know, sometimes when we raise these issues, people say we are being unduly critical. But as a member of the National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations Committee, I want to assure the people of Turkana and the Senate of Turkana that we are going to get to the bottom of these issues and these lapses in security that has led to the loss of lives. Honorable Speaker, I have been asked to send a message to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs through the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, that the people of Turkana want to see the very same effort we have seen in other things, including the same sort of delegation that went to Addis from the ministry, being stationed in Addis again to be able to secure the cooperation of the Ethiopian authorities to ensure that we not only retrieve the bodies of our beloved who are still somewhere in the lake, but we ensure that such a thing never happens again. So on behalf of the people of Nairobi, on behalf of our party, on behalf of myself, my family, I want to tell the people of Turkana that we stand with them. This is a county that is very close to my heart, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Sifuna, your time is up. And I am very sure, sitting from the chair, that the Honorable CS for Foreign Affairs has definitely listened to the cries that has come from you on behalf of the people of Turkana, for them to give it the attention that the other ministries have given and to safeguard the interest of our people. Thank you very much, Senator Sifuna. Senator Okech, Eddie.
Chair, mine is an intervention. Yeah, I know, Chair, that this is a very important matter that we're discussing, and we had sought an adjournment on this matter of Turkana, Chair, but I am realizing very quickly that the house is literally empty. And the issue of Turkana is a very important one. Therefore, I wanted to rise under standing order number 41, knowing that perhaps this could have been necessitated by, the fact that some of our colleagues are at the funeral of our departed brother, Senator Cheptumo. I do share in the pain and the losses that have been in Turkana, and I hope that we can be able to find a more broad solution based on what my dear friends and colleagues senators have shared, including just what Senator Sifuna has said. But I wanted to ask whether, due to the lack of quorum in this proceeding, you may consider, evoking standing order number 1. Perhaps to check if you don't have quorum, then perhaps we can revisit such conversation when the full house is here for the purposes of proper attention to such matter of serious magnitude of state concern. Thank you, Chair.
Senator Eddy, actually, when you look at the motion itself of adjournment, the motion pursuant to Standing Order 37 seeks to adjourn the House. So as it stands now, the House is adjourned for purposes of this particular motion. And that is why we have sought for every other member interested in contributing to it to do so within a limited timeline of 5 minutes. It's therefore not available for yourself to raise Standing Order 41 in terms of quorum, because the House stands adjourned for purposes of the minutes of the motion. I will therefore rule you out, and we still have members who are interested in contributing, and you are one of them, but yours was an intervention. I will allow we have got Senator Peris Tobiko, we've got Senator Seki, who is not in the House, we've got Senator Joe, but I will give Senator Peris Tobiko her time to also speak to this motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion brought by Senator Lomenen, Mr. Speaker, and to sympathize and empathize with the people of Turkana, Mr. Speaker, because of the agony they have gone through, Mr. Speaker, in the hands of foreigners or looks like it, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it pains a lot to lose Kenyans in ways that we should not lose lives. Of course, human beings are mortal and we will all pass on. But there are ways that we should, lives must be saved, Mr. Speaker, and protected, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have stood to, urge the government to take quick action to bring to book the culprits of this heinous act, Mr. Speaker, to also, Mr. Speaker, protect other Kenyans in Turkana, Mr. Speaker, and to take seriously the lives of all Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when a Kenyan dies in Turkana, it should be taken as seriously as it is taken in other areas, Mr. Speaker. When there is loss of life, Mr. Speaker, life of every Kenyan is important, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is sad that sometimes, and I know this could be the feeling that Senator Lomenen has and a number of other people who come from these marginalized areas with no infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, with no network, Mr. Speaker, looking like another country altogether, Mr. Speaker, because regions, areas in this country have not been treated equitably, have not been supported equitably, Mr. Speaker. Kenyans have not been treated equitably, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we all want to have the feeling of being Kenyans and of being valuable Kenyans. Dignify life of every Kenyan, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is sad. It is very sad. Just like when I was speaking about the police officer we have lost at Haiti, Mr. Speaker. And he was defending and the image of Kenya in a faraway land, Mr. Speaker. But when the body lands in Nairobi, unless you take it to a chopper with a chopper to Kajiado, we have no roads to take that body. A Kenyan who was standing in for the 43 million of us. A Kenyan who was protecting and defending the name of this country and give us a good image internationally. But there is no road to go to his home, Mr. Speaker. Will there come a time when Kenyans will be equal? Will there come a time, Mr. Speaker, when we will all feel we belong, Mr. Speaker? Because at the moment, we feel like there are Kenyans who continue to be marginalized and marginalized of the marginalized, Mr. Speaker. It is sad. My brother Lomenen, I feel it for the Turkana people because I know we go through the same things. In fact, whereas Turkana is in the far north of the country, those of us who are adjacent to Nairobi feel the same because there are roads going to other regions of this country, but there are no roads going to Kajiado. There are no roads going to Turkana. There is no power. There is no network. There is no water. Can we all be treated as one country of equal people? One country of life that is equal and matters most for all Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let the Kenyan government work very fast to relieve the pain of the Turkana people, to bring justice on what has just happened. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, you may rise. Having now concluded the debate of the motion of adjournment under Standing Order 37, the Senate stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, 27th of February, 2025 at 2:30 p.m.
Tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye
Sound Candid Talk Live News.
Well, good evening once more. Looks like you guys are stuck with me for good. Welcome to the show. My name is Douglas. Welcome to Sound Candid Talk, Open Forum Political Show. It's another good evening here in Nairobi. Actually, it's good morning, 12:54 a.m. East African time. Bernard is still unwell, is not in capacity to host the show. Chadizo is not also feeling okay, but he's sitting somewhere across from me in the studio, and he'll be joining the conversation as we move on. But I'm inviting you to like this video, subscribe, and share as usual as we begin to break down the topics of the day. My name is Douglas, and welcome to the show. Before I begin, I'm going to share the link even before I let you in on what I have prepared for you tonight for the discussion, the show. I'm going to be sharing out the link. Invite your friends over, your colleagues, share out the video, share out the link, click the link if you want to be part of the conversation. Let's stream and configure your mic and camera, and you're going to find yourself in this amazing studio so that we may have the conversation together. Okay, so now Ruto is continuing his tour of the coastal region soon after coming back from Addis Ababa. That began on Sunday. On Sunday, he was at State House, Mombasa. Then yesterday, he made a tour, short tour of Mombasa County, that is Likoni. And today, Tuesday, he has toured Kwale County, that is South Rift, beginning from Lunga Lunga all the way to Diani, and it's going to be in the coast for the rest of the week. We just want to take stock of what has transpired during the day, during the visit, and how that affects the politics. Is this about development, or is this about politics? Just the usual theatrics, political theatrics. I don't know. What do you think? I'm inviting you to the conversation. Engage with me in the comment section. We are live on Sound Candid Talk Live on YouTube, Sound Candid Talk backup channel now, and on Facebook, Sound Candid Talk Live. Engage with me in the comments. I'm going to be reading out some of your comments. Come into the studio and let's have a conversation together with you guys. So in a different story that I have, Raila has come back to local politics after losing his AUC bid. We had this conversation yesterday with those of you who were here last night. And as usual, Raila makes one move in politics and it unsettles everything. So the conversation is continuing to build up. Today he went back to his to what we call bedroom in Kisumu, and he met Anyang'o, and he's continuing to tell his supporters that he is consulting far and widely, just sending jitters and letting people do the guesswork. But we expect that he's going to declare his political move sometime next week. At least that is what he's told us so far. So we are going to be waiting to see how that pans out. But in the meantime, we are going to be having conversations around this to see, just to speculate, actually, how how this will change the political landscape in our country and how this is going to affect our lives as Kenyans. In other news, the battle at the Supreme Court continues. There's battles to oust Supreme Court judges. Some people in some quarters claim that it's politically motivated, and it's Ruto trying to get rid of Martha Koome and install his own quote-unquote puppet. Some people say that this has nothing to do with politics, because the person pushing for the ouster is Nelson Harvey, is a lawyer, former LSK president. So I don't know what you think. I'm inviting you into the conversation. That also forms my poll question tonight. Do you think the ongoing ouster battle of Supreme Court judges will impact judicial independence? Do you think the ongoing ouster battle of Supreme Court judges will impact judicial independence? 40% of those who voted so far agree. Actually, not 40, that has changed. This browser should refresh it. 57% say yes. 43% of you say no. It's not going to impact judicial independence. But I just want to know, how will this affect judicial independence long term? But first I want to know what you think. Is this politically motivated, or, is this a purely constitutional process as provided for by the Constitution? Because Martha Koome is no saint. She's been accused of corruption at the judiciary. The judiciary has been accused of corruption. Actually, there's a term that those in legal spheres use. They call it jurispesa, which is technically just the commodity that is being used to sway decisions, or rather judgments, of the judiciary. I want to hear from you what you think about this conversation. I want to have conversations with you. Engage with me in the comments. Come into the studio and let's have a conversation around this. So as I begin, I'm going to play some bites just to bring you up to speed with what I'm ranting about here, as I wait for you people to come in. Sent out the link for StreamYard. Click the link and join in as a guest, as a panelist, and I will add you onto the stage and have this conversation with me. Welcome.
President William Ruto has once again defended the newfound friendship with former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. The head of state says their unity is meant to unite the country, telling his critics to shun tribal politics. Speaking in Kwale County, the president also defended some of his unpopular initiatives, asking Kenyans to register for the Social Health Authority. And as Francis Mtalaki reports, the president has also put on notice land grabbers in the region.
A day after meeting former Prime Minister Raila Odinga in Mombasa, where the two hinted at the formalization of broad-based arrangement, President Ruto, in his tour of the Coast region, defended the newfound friendship with Odinga, telling his critics to shun tribal politics.
Kwa hivyo ndio unaona rais amesikanisha taifa nzima, hata aliyekuwa mpinzani wake mkuu Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga sasa ni rafiki yake, wanafanya kazi pamoja ya kuunganisha Wakenya, kwa sababu siasa ilikwisha. Sasa ni mambo ya kujenga taifa letu la Kenya.
Kuna watu wana manunguniko, wale Mheshimiwa Rais ni watu wenye wivu, na mwingine aliimba akasema mwenye wivu ajinyonge, lakini hawajinyongi siku hizi, wanakuja na fitina na umbea na kukodoa.
Ndio sasa wameleta siasa ya ukabila, na Mheshimiwa Rais amesema tunakemea siasa ya ukabila. Ikemewe sikemewe.
Hakuna tena
siasa ya kubagua Wakenya wengine, siasa ya kuweka Wakenya wengine kando. Mimi nataka niwahakikishie watu wa Kwale ya kwamba hamutatengwa tena, hamutaachwa nyuma tena, hamutabaguliwa tena, kwa sababu tunataka tuhakikishe ya kwamba tunatembea pamoja.
Speaking in Kwale County while commissioning development projects in Lunga, Matuga and Msambweni constituencies, President Ruto sought to justify his administration's unpopular programs, asking Kenyans to register for the Social Health Authority. Health CS Deborah Barasa maintains that SHA is working despite the hiccups witnessed in private hospitals suspending services countrywide.
Madirekta Msambweni hospitali nikauliza SHA inafanya kazi, wakasema inafanya na hospitali yao pia inalipwa.
Tumeungana kuhakikisha ya kwamba matibabu yanaanza kijijini. Muuguzi wa kwanza
tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitabu, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political.
Alikwenda kuvamia shamba ya mtu akikwambia serikali iweze kumlipia hiyo ardhi. Hakuna mtu anaruhusiwa ati kwenda kuvamia shamba ya mtu ati ndio serikali iweze kumlipia hiyo ardhi.
On Wednesday, President Ruto is expected to tour Kilifi County. Francis Ndilaki, Citizen TV, Kwale County.